Hey everyone, today's lesson is about line 49, Hey Ho, Nobody's Home from our book. There's a number of new things in this line. For starters, you notice that when I performed it, there were two of me. It's because this is a special kind of a tune called a canon. We'll talk more about canons later in the lesson. So the next new thing that we see in here is the time signature. Uh, Everything we've played so far have had the numbers 4/4 at the beginning of it. That time signature 4/4 means there are four quarter notes in each measure. Now, not literally four quarter notes, because as you can see in this measure, there's many eighth notes, but 2/8 notes is the equivalent of one quarter note. So we have one quarter note, two quarter notes, three quarter notes, four quarter notes. There's four quarter note beats in each measure. So when we see the 2/4 time signature, that means there are two quarter note beats in each measure. So for example, here we see two quarter notes. We know that 2/8 notes equals one quarter note. So there's one quarter note. There's another quarter note. Again, we have two quarter note beats. We know that a half note is equal to two quarter notes. So again, there's two quarter note beats in that measure. It turns out you can have many different kinds of time signatures. We started with 4/4. Now we're learning 2/4. You can, for that top number, you can see almost any number you can imagine in there. Usually they're the highest number you'd see it like be 12, but that's pretty uncommon, especially for middle school students. The bottom number is usually a 2, a 4, an 8, or a 16. Now, what that means is, yes, there's two beats per bar, but it means that these strong beats come more often. We're used to playing 4/4 time. In 4/4 time, beat 1 is the most important beat. Beat 3 is kind of important, and beat 4 is the least important. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, now we're playing in 2/4 time. The strong beats come much more often. Every other beat. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 1, 1, 2, and 1. So we're hearing that strong beat every other beat. Reading in 2/4 time really is no different from reading in 4/4 time, except that the strong beats come more often. The next new thing we see is a tempo marking. Up until now, there haven't been any words or markings here at the beginning of the piece of music. And starting now, most tunes you see will have some sort of a word there that's going to indicate the style or the tempo of the tune. And a lot of the time, those words are in Italian. Moderato is an Italian word that means moderate or medium. So we know this is to be played at a medium tempo. There's other words you might find there, like allegro, which means fast and light, or andante, which means fairly slow, or largo, which means very slow. Sometimes you'll see words here that are in English, especially in more recent compositions. They'll say things like fast, or boldly, or majestically. It really just is to give the performer an idea of the style and feeling and speed of the piece. Moderato, though, just tells us it's about a medium speed. Finally, we have a new note for every instrument except for the trombone and tuba. For the trumpets and clarinets, that new note is a low A. It's one step lower than the B that you already know. On the trumpet, our new note, A, has the same fingering as a high A, but we've got to make sure that our lips are vibrating at a slower speed so we get that low sound. The low A on the trumpet sounds like this. The clarinets also play a low A. Low A on the clarinet is just one finger different from low B. So my low B uses the middle finger on my bottom hand. My low A uses the first two fingers on my bottom hand. It's really, really important my right hand is on the bottom of the instrument and that I'm holding it in the right position. My thumb should be positioned so just the thumbnail is underneath that thumb rest. If my thumb is peeking out like this, these fingers can't cover the holes in a way that that seals them all the way shut. I need to have my hand in this position so that the pads of the tips of my fingers can cover those holes to make the right sound. The low A in the clarinet sounds like this. The flutes have a new note. It's a low G, and that G has the same fingering that we already used for a high G. The difference is the speed and the angle of the air. So I need to think of aiming my air slightly more downwards, maybe pulling my chin a little bit further back, and my low G on the flute sounds like this. Now, this note isn't on our scale sheet. If it were, that new note would be called law, just like the high A or the high G is high law. The low G, the low A is low law. They're an octave apart. So when I do the singing part later in this lesson, I will sing law when I want you to play that note. That note's not on our current scale sheet, but I will make sure that it's on the next one. If you play trombone or tuba, you don't have a new note. So when we play low law in those echoes, you're going to play high law. You'll be an octave apart from the rest of the band on just those notes. I have another video posted in my lesson that shows the trombone playing with that high law, so you can hear what it sounds like on that instrument. All right, now let's take this apart by phrase. I'm going to sing phrases to you, and then I'll play them back to you on trumpet. I want you to practice this part of the video more than once, sometimes singing along with me, or echoing me and singing, sometimes playing on your instrument. Here we go. Re, la, re, 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 la. Re, re, mi, mi, fa, 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 mi. La, sol, la, sol, la, sol, fa, mi. Re, la, re, 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 re. Now, if I perform the whole song straight through, it sounds like this.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
This lesson's gone on about long enough, so let's end this one here. In the next video, I'll show you how you can play this song as a canon. Thanks for stopping by.